Welcome to Kansas Ag Report with your host, Brian Holman.
Welcome to Kansas Ag Report. I'm Brian Holman, and here's our lineup for today's show. In Ag News, we'll take a look at local and national headlines affecting Kansas farmers. In our Ag Feature, we talk with Lucas Haig from K-State Research and Extension, and we talk about wheat flag smug. And inside Kansas Ag, Kansas Soybean talks fertilizer application videos, and Kansas Farm Bureau tells us about their new website. And in news you need to know, we get our weekly update from the Kansas Livestock Association, look back at last week's market activity with the guys from Paragon, and we'll let you know about important events coming up around the state of Kansas. Glad you could join us.
Closed captioning brought to you by Dick Edwards in Manhattan, selling America's #1 truck, the Ford F-150, for over 30 years. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. kansassoybeans.org.
Ag Risk Solutions. Experience, knowledge, integrity. Your crop insurance solution, Ag Risk Solutions. Dick Edwards Auto Plaza in Junction City, home of this year's Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram Truck. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Here's our national headlines for this week in Ag News. The avian flu outbreak, which forced the depopulation of 34 million birds on 77 Iowa farms, won't just raise the price for eggs and poultry, it is also costing Iowa nearly 8,500 jobs, some of which may never be replaced, says a new study by the Iowa Farm Bureau Federation. It's not just bird farms and workers, it's also affecting veterinarians, trucking companies, processors, and lenders. It also means nearly $427 million in value-added income was lost because grain farmers and other businesses can no longer sell their feed and other goods and services to poultry farms like they did before. Indiana is requesting a disaster declaration for 8 additional counties impacted by excessive rainfall. Earlier this month, the USDA issued a disaster declaration for 53 of Indiana's 92 counties. Governor Mike Pence and Indiana FSA Director Julia Wickard submitted a request for additional declaration for the 8 counties. Indiana Senator Joe Donnelly also sent a letter to Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack, urging the USDA to grant the additional request. Deadlines were quickly approaching to purchase coverage for fall-seeded crops, and the USDA reminds producers that crops not covered by insurance may be eligible for the Non-Insured Crop Disaster Assistance Program. NAP covers losses from natural disasters on crops for which no permanent federal crop insurance program is available. Crops covered include forage and grazing crops, turf grass, bioenergy, and industrial crops. The USDA has created an online tool at fsa.usda.gov/NAP that allows producers to determine whether their crops are eligible for federal crop insurance or NAP. And in local news, Kansas soybean farmers have yet another market for their crop. Bioheat is a traditional home heating oil that is blended with biodiesel. Approximately 6.2 million homes on the East Coast rely on a form of heating oil during the winter, but progressive states in the region are looking to move towards renewable fuels and have issued mandates. New York, Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts have all issued renewable fuel mandates on heating oil. Paul Lazaro, National Biodiesel Board Liaison, says bioheat creates jobs, complements domestic crude sources, strengthens energy security, and the biggest advantage, it's available now. Wheat flag smug has showed up in Kansas according to the Kansas Department of Agriculture. The fungus doesn't harm humans or animals or affect grain quality, but it does reduce yields. KDA is encouraging farmers to choose varieties of wheat that are more resistant to fungi and to apply fungicides. KDA also suggests farmers delay planting since funguses thrive in warm, moist soils, and that they rotate fields between wheat and a crop that isn't vulnerable to flag smug, such as soybeans, sorghum, or corn. For more information, visit agriculture.ks.gov/ppws. Kansas feedlots with capacities of 1,000 or more head contain 1.93 million cattle on feed on August 1st, according to the USDA's National Agricultural Statistics Service. This inventory was up 2% from last year. Placements during July totaled 395,000 head, down 1% from 2014. Fed cattle marketings for the month of July totaled 395,000 head, up 1% from last year. Up next in our Ag Feature, we talk with Lucas Haig from K-State Research and Extension, and we talk about wheat flag smug. You're watching Kansas Ag Report. Please stay tuned.
This segment brought to you by Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. GrassandGrain.com. A.B. Flint Motor Company, selling quality used cars and trucks in Southeast Topeka at 32nd and South Kansas Avenue. Integrity Gun and Pawn, 2 Topeka locations specializing in firearms and training. igpawn.com to learn more. Kansas Wheat Commission, leaders in the adoption of profitable innovations for wheat. Online at kswheat.com.
Dick Edwards, 2 miles east of the Town Center Mall on Highway 24.
I'm Dr. Frank Lyons, a physician here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. As one of the only standalone stem cell centers in the U.S., we use your stem cells as therapy for arthritis and some autoimmune diseases.
I'm Dr. Andrew Pope, here at Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Utilizing the latest technology under strict protocols, we're able to harvest your stem cells from your own fat to treat a variety of medical conditions. The best part about it is, it's a same-day surgical procedure and requires no general anesthesia.
You need a partner that you can count on to be there for your business. Providing a depth of understanding to risk management issues so you don't have to. A knowledgeable support team located in your area, delivering products and services to make you more successful.
Here at Blue River Traders, we have the greatest selection of rustic and western furniture in Kansas.
At Blue River Traders, you can select from an inventory of rustic lodge or western furnishings. With a designer on hand, Blue River Traders will help create the look you desire.
Biodiesel made from sustainable resources is diversifying our fuel supply. This year, biodiesel will displace over 1 billion gallons of fossil fuel nationwide. It's making our economy stronger and our communities healthier. It's working here and across America. Get biodiesel going in your community. Visit americasadvancedbiofuel.com.
Dick Edwards, 2 miles east of the Town Center Mall on Highway 24.
Thanks for staying with us this morning. We're at the Kansas Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan. We're joined by Lucas Haig, who is the Kansas State Northwest Research Center Extension Agent. I believe I got that right. That's a big title. So Lucas, thanks for joining us this morning. They say wheat dies 9 times throughout the year. It may have held true this year.
Yeah, we certainly put it through its paces. Even though we had a really tremendous start, I mean, we had some of the best stands conditions to drill into, and good stands that we'd had in a long time this fall. But a lot of that really changed there in mid-November, 9th, 10th, 11th November. It was really that Arctic blast that came through really changed the tone and our yield prospects out of this crop. And so that's something we've seen, especially so in my territory, northwest, north central Kansas. We had significant winter injury across that entire territory. And as we move more towards western Kansas, it was much more related to the stands were just evenly thinned by that event, as opposed to more in the eastern end of my territory, much more management related. Wheat after soybeans took it particularly hard. Wheat that was planted shallower in loose seed bed conditions took it particularly hard. But the underlying event that really drove this was, we had almost too good of conditions last fall. We were too warm, and so it takes time to harden off wheat, to harden off the crowns in those plants. And for that to happen, we really have to have the crown temperature below about that 50 degrees Fahrenheit. And ideally, we got to be down around that 40 degrees to actually have much of that process. We accumulate solutes or sugars in the crown, and that's what, it's kind of like adding glycol to water to antifreeze, and we lower the freezing point in that crown. We just didn't have the cool temperatures we needed to start that process. And so when that Arctic blast came through there in mid-November, essentially our wheat had not been hardened off at all, and that's why we've seen the thinning of the stands that we did. So immediately at that point, we'd already kind of capped some of our yield potential then.
Dividing line in the state, I know there are parts of the state that we've got great yields. We're hearing numbers now coming in 70 bushels. Parts of it we may see 10 bushels. Was there kind of a dividing line on that? Yeah,
and it's always hard to draw solid lines, but certainly north central Kansas, Smith, Jewell, Mitchell counties in through there is much more management related, rotation related. We've still seen winter injury in Russell County. By the time we was down into southern Ellsworth County, into Barton County, a lot less winter injury there. Cheyenne, Rawlins, Decatur, northwest Kansas was hit particularly hard by winter injury.
Well, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to finish up. We're going to talk about, well, we're only about 2.5 months away from making the decision again this year on what you're going to put in the ground. You're watching Kansas Ag Report. See you in just a minute.
This segment brought to you by Kansas Regenerative Medicine Center. Your stem cells, your health, your life. Farmers Insurance, your best protection against the unexpected. Call Agent Dan Key at 785-408-5459. Grass and Grain, online or in the mail, keeping Kansas farmers informed for over 60 years. grassandgrain.com. Blue River Traders, the finest selection of Western-style furniture for your home. BlueRiverTraders.com.
We're joined by Lucas Haig today, and we're at the Wheat Innovation Center in Manhattan, Kansas. We're talking about winter hardiness of wheat. And Lucas, in the first segment, we were talking about things look bright last fall. We thought we were going to have a great crop, and then we got the Arctic blast. We are literally 2.5 months away from putting that crop back in the ground. What should producers be thinking about?
So I'm really cautioning producers from putting too much weight into what happened this past year. It's really an odd event that we would have that type of that Arctic blast come through without having that wheat hardened off. And so we had a lot of questions about why did our ratings for winter hardiness not line up with what we were seeing in the field. And it's because typically our winter hardiness is scored off of assuming the wheat's already hardened, how well does it tolerate an exceptionally cold winter or periods of warming up and cooling down. So that's a completely different type of event than what we experienced this year. So I caution folks from putting a lot of weight into that. I still think we need to look at overall factors for our wheat variety selection, drought tolerance. Do we have some natural resistance to stripe rust? Wheat streak mosaic was certainly a large issue in many areas this year in the state. So still, I think it's important we look at the whole package when making that decision.
And I know there are a lot of varieties coming out of K-State right now. What are some of the varieties that producers could be looking forward to coming up into the fall?
Sure. So Oakley and Canmark are two new releases out of K-State. Oakley CL done exceptionally well this year due to its wheat streak resistance and also held up really well under stripe rust pressure. Canmark, I think, is going to be an excellent fit for us in western Kansas, especially under irrigation. Other varieties that are doing well for us this year, Bird, WB Grainfield. Anyways, there's, I can't get into listing them all, but right. there's lots of options out there. And that's what I've been telling producers is, if there's a variety you're a little bit uncomfortable with, dump it and get something new, because we've got as many good new varieties to choose from as we've had in a long time. TAM 111 has really dominated the acreage in western Kansas so far. We don't see it in that top grouping in the yield trials much anymore. I think it's time we start thinking about dialing back those acres and replacing it with some other material. Denali actually has TAM 111-inch pedigree and is a good fit for a potential replacement, very broadly adapted across West.
So, Lucas, thanks for joining us this morning.
You bet. Thank you.
You're watching Kansas Ag Report. We'll see you in just a minute.
Most row crops require nitrogen and phosphorus to get an adequate supply of nutrients and to maximize yield. Soybeans are no different, requiring both to grow, but their application could have consequences for the environment. Nitrogen and phosphorus runoff into bodies of water can support algal blooms, which can deplete oxygen levels in the water, harming fish and other aquatic life. Nitrogen can leach into the groundwater as nitrate, affecting drinking water resources. Researchers continue to look for ways to apply nutrients without the environmental effects, and a recent video from the Plant Management Network offers farmers some practical advice. For example, soybeans fix their own nitrogen in the soil, so applying more rarely benefits the crop. Phosphorus usually is found in higher concentrations at the soil's surface, so minimizing erosion will help keep it in the soil. Cover crops, crop rotation, buffers, bioreactors, and wetlands may reduce the loss of nitrogen and phosphorus. Soil testing will help you apply nutrients only in the amounts they are needed. The Soybean Checkoff sponsors the Focus on Soybean webcasts through a partnership with the Plant Management Network, making the videos free to watch. You can learn more by visiting plantmanagementnetwork.org on the web.
Kansas Farm Bureau has partnered with nationally published photographer Scott Stebner to create a photo book celebrating Kansas farmers and ranchers. The hardcover coffee table book, tentatively titled Kansas Farmer, will showcase the hard work and pride of Kansas producers with beautiful photos and thoughtful commentary. This is a great opportunity to connect with those who aren't directly tied to agriculture. Stebner has spent the last year shooting photos and interviewing Kansas farmers for the book. Before the book is printed and available in December, the last farmer will be selected through a statewide nomination process. Tell Kansas Farm Bureau in a 90-second video submission or a photo with no more than 300 words why Scott should photograph your farmer. Is he great at what he does? Is she passionate about helping others? Has he overcome diversity? Sell us on why your farmer, or you, should be included in Kansas Farmer. Nominations are accepted until September 7th at kansaslivingmagazine.com. We are looking for that gem of a story. From the submissions, 3 nominees will be chosen as finalists. Everyone is encouraged to look at the nominations and choose their favorite. Public voting for the final selection will begin September 12th and end September 18th. Follow Kansas Farm Bureau on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter to get updates on contest entries, call for voting, and the winning nomination.
This segment brought to you by Oldie Seed Farms, carrying soil-specific seed. Find them on the web at oldieseed.com. That's OHLDE seed.com. A.B. Flint Motor Company, selling quality used cars and trucks in Southeast Topeka at 32nd and South Kansas Avenue. Integrity Gun and Pawn, 2 Topeka locations specializing in firearms and training. igpawn.com to learn more. Impact Satellite, your local authorized DirecTV dealer. Impact Satellite at 785-554-5974.
All the time. Monthly payments of $289, $189, or even $89. How is this done, you ask? Well, with large down payments, low mileage leases, and you must qualify for all rebates offered. Can we do this? Yes, we can. But we'd prefer to give you the straight call, where we tell you all the information up front, and you make the decision on what vehicle and payment you want. You won't need bifocals to read the fine print here. Dick Edwards, serving the Manhattan, Fort Riley, and Junction City areas for over 30 years.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
Tammy the Pro Home Plus is all about providing warmth and kindness to aging individuals who find it difficult to live on their own. Tammy's team is made up of experienced caregivers and nurses committed to the highest level of individualized care, focusing on health and well-being, and assisting with nutrition, grooming, medications, therapies, and daily living needs, all in a warm, caring environment. Call Tammy the Pro Home Plus today at 785-383-7094 to learn how we can help.
The producer-funded Kansas Wheat Innovation Center was built to get improved varieties into the hands of farmers faster. Kansas Wheat, farmers advancing their future through wheat genetics research.
I will take action against herbicide-resistant weeds. I will know my weeds, and I will stop them before they go to seed. I will do whatever it takes to give my crops the upper hand, and I will use multiple herbicide sites of action because every action counts. I will take action, this time for all time.
You hear it all the time. Monthly payments of $289, $189, or even $89. How is this done, you ask? Well, with large down payments, low mileage leases, and you must qualify for all rebates offered. Can we do this?
Yes, we can.
But we'd prefer to give you the straight talk, where we tell you all the information up front, and you make the decision on what vehicle and payment you want. You won't need bifocals to read the fine print here. Dick Edwards, serving the Manhattan, Fort Riley, and Junction City areas for over 30 years.
You need a partner that you can count on to be there for your business. Providing a depth of understanding to risk management issues so you don't have to. A knowledgeable support team located in your area, delivering products and services to make you more successful.
The waters of the U.S. rule that could require farmers and ranchers to obtain a permit for everyday management practices is the target of an all-out effort to stop it by the National Cattlemen's Beef Association. Executive Director of Legislative Affairs Christina Butts told more than 200 attending the August 20th KLA and Kansas State University Ranch Management Field Day at El Dorado that NCBA is working on several fronts to have the rule nullified. The strategies include lobbying for congressional action to kill the rule, working with appropriations committees in Congress to defund enforcement by the Environmental Protection Agency, and pursuing a legal challenge as part of a broad coalition. But said NCBA will continue to be aggressively engaged on WOTUS and hopefully slow down the process or have the rule totally withdrawn. Also on the program at Gilmore Creek Ranch, which hosted the event, was a panel discussion featuring 3 ranchers. Frank Harper with Gilmore Creek, Jarrett Moyer of Emporia, and Rich Porter of Redding agreed using grass traps for starting cattle and calving provides substantial benefits in terms of reduced sickness and death loss. Owned by Randy and Judy Mills, Gilmore Creek Ranch is a commercial cow-calf and stocker operation. The Mills' son-in-law and daughter, Frank and Mary Harper, manage the ranch. Bayer Healthcare Animal Health Division and the Farm Credit Associations of Kansas sponsored the El Dorado Field Day.
Good morning. I'm Derek Ermish with Paragon Ag. Sometimes you're the rock and sometimes you're the pond. In 2008, the U.S. economy was the rock and the rest of the world was the pond. Ripples were felt, and one of those ripples came in the form of a devalued U.S. dollar, which gave emerging and developing world economies a signal to accelerate their growth efforts with their newfound purchasing power. In 2015, it appears China is now the rock and the U.S. is on the pond. The Shanghai Composite Index has dropped some 40% since June. That's a big drop and an eye catcher, but it's important to realize that it had risen by more than 140% from June of 2014. It was the definition of a bubble that was probably going to burst at some point. Now it's just a matter of what the damage will be and where we will fill the ripples. The first of those ripples started to hit Monday of this week with the Dow Jones closing down nearly 600 points and experiencing volatile back and forth action as the week carried on. What does this mean for the grain markets? Well, at first glance, you'd have to think it's not bullish, especially for soybeans. As provider of a product, you want your consumers of that product healthy. From an end user standpoint, you would think the low prices we've reached in the grains at this point in the year carry a reasonable value price tag. Unfortunately for China, one of our biggest customers, the U.S. soybean farmers' troubles might be best described as trying to sell somebody a car when their house is on fire. They're still going to need that car eventually to get to work, but there's bigger fish to fry at the moment. I'm Derek Hermish. Have a good day.
Closed captioning brought to you by Dick Edwards in Manhattan, selling America's #1 truck, the Ford F-150, for over 30 years. DickEdwardsAuto.com. Kansas Soybean Commission, the Soybean Checkoff. Progress powered by Kansas farmers. kansassoybeans.org. Ag Risk Solutions. Experience, knowledge, integrity. Your crop insurance solution, Ag Risk Solutions. Dick Edwards Auto Plaza in Junction City, home of this year's Motor Trend Truck of the Year, Ram Truck. DickEdwardsAuto.com.
Well, that's our show for today. I hope you'll join us each week for more news and information about agriculture in the state of Kansas. I'm Brian Holman, and thanks for watching.
Here at Blue River Traders, we have the greatest selection of rustic and western furniture in Kansas.
At Blue River Traders, you can select from an inventory of rustic lodge or western furnishings. With a designer on hand, Blue River Traders will help create the look you desire.
Imagine having someone help you pick the best corn hybrids for every field on your farm. Your Oldie representative can combine your data with his data to offer a field-by-field prescription. Contact Oldie Seed today at 877-692-4555.
Tammy the Pro Home Plus is all about providing warmth and kindness to aging individuals who find it difficult to live on their own. Tammy's team is made up of experienced caregivers and nurses committed to the highest level of individualized care, focusing on health and well-being, and assisting with nutrition, grooming, medications, therapies, and daily living needs, all in a warm, caring environment. Call Tammy the Pro Home Plus today at 785-383-7094 to learn how we can help.